going to regret this so much in 5 years. As you guys know, when you go to somewhere like Turkey to get veneers, they don't actually give you veneers. You see, these are called crown preps, not veneers. You see, when you get veneers, they just shave a top layer off your teeth, just a tiny bit, and they put kind of an outer shell onto your teeth. That's what a veneer is. If you look at his teeth, these are actually crown preps. They shave all the way around the tooth, getting rid of like 50% of your tooth to put a cap over the whole thing. People go over to different countries to get this done because it's cheaper and they think they're getting a good result, but really they're just ruining their teeth forever. Not only are his teeth damaged, he's gonna have much more sensitivity and pain throughout the years. He's gonna have to get his crowns redone every 10 years. That is if they don't get decayed and fall out. And more than likely by the time he's older, he's gonna have to go into full dentures. Now, one thing I will take away from this is that back in the day, you guys had no idea about this, but I've taught you so well that now in the comments, you guys are actually sounding off some actually knowledge here. I mean, everybody's commenting, why would you ruin your teeth? Bro's gonna regret this in 5 years. Tooth pain up, tooth strength down. So at least I'm educating some of you guys on this stuff. Realistically, in the end, he could have just gotten braces and straightened his teeth and then gotten some whitening and been just fine and saved all of his teeth for his entire life. The only time I recommend getting veneers is if you just absolutely don't want to go into braces or if you hate the shape of your teeth, because I can straighten up your teeth, but I can't change the shape. But just please don't do this, please. Peaches, 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 love you. Oh. I don't think it's supposed to do that.
Anyways, Bentist, what the heck is going on here? Is this normal?
Well, this is actually what we call a smiley piercing, and it pierces what we call the frenulum. The frenulum is a little piece of tissue that is attached to your upper lip to the front of your teeth. It is normal to have, and some people actually have it too much to where it goes between the teeth and it causes a gap between their two front teeth. If this happens, you have to get what's called a frenulectomy, where we actually cut that piece so then we can close up the space and it doesn't keep opening it up. Most people keep their frenulums with no issues at all, and some people even go crazy enough to pierce it. This guy has a very stretchy frenulum, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of creeps me out. But hey, maybe at least his smiley piercing won't get ripped out of his mouth. Yeah, that's actually something that happens really common. People will rip them out and it will rip their frenulum in half. They do their own frenulectomy. Other than that, having piercings here can also chip the teeth here, so overall we don't recommend these things. Maybe just get them somewhere else, like in your ear or something like that, okay?
Like teeth of bitch over to my
I know my teeth are bad and I am ready to shatter my self-esteem, so let's take a look. Yellow object for reference. Not as bad as I thought.
Here I thought she was gonna have cheddar cheese slices as teeth. But for real though, I think you guys have a lot of misconceptions about yellow teeth that just aren't true. I mean, some of these comments were wild. Check this out. Now this one's half right and half wrong, but this one said, teeth are supposed to have yellow in them. They're bones, but they do look good. She in fact is right. Your teeth are naturally yellow, okay? They're not supposed to be porcelain toilet bowl white, but they're actually not bones. They're actually more similar to the keratin in your fingernails or your hair. This other girl says that yellow teeth are actually stronger than white teeth, so don't feel insecure about them. Once again, a half and half. Don't be insecure about them. They're just yellow teeth. White or yellow, it doesn't matter about your strength. White teeth are not any less strong or stronger. It's literally just a color. You see, what happens is you actually have all these little holes in your teeth, and the hydrogen peroxide or whatever you're whitening with goes inside the teeth and actually whitens it and cleans it from the inside out. It doesn't have anything to do about the actual makeup of the tooth itself. It's just the staining on it. Some people have more or less staining depending on if they drink a lot of coffee and tea and everything, because it gets down in the holes and it can stain from the inside out. So if you want to whiten your teeth and have white teeth, that's perfectly fine. But if you have a little yellow teeth, it's also completely normal. In fact, you were born that way.
ass real fat, I can make it fatter. Wanna see a magic trick bend over backwards. Meat to meat, wall to wall, coochie to my.
We got ourselves a regular dentist MacGyver. Nah, but for real though, I mean, he did a really good job on those. Basically, he's using these thermoplastic heat moldable wax pellets. You put your pellets in hot water, they turn clear, you can mold them however you want, and then you put them back in cold water, and it hardens them. Normally, they look terrible, but he actually molded them pretty good. Now, these obviously aren't the same color of his teeth, and they don't look real at all, and they probably will break the second he bites into anything, but still, it's pretty cool. And you know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
What's my favorite food?
Favorite food? Watermelon.
You don't know me at all, bro.
No, pineapple.
No. Oh.
Broke my already broken tooth, rap.
Peyton, no! How could you do this to your brother? But for real though, Bentist, what happens if I chip my tooth? Is everything gonna be okay? Well, it actually depends. You see, your teeth is made of many layers. You have a hard outer layer called enamel, you have the inside layer, which is called dentin, and the middle layer, which is pulp, or the nerve of the tooth. If you have a tiny chip, it's probably only in the enamel layer, which is the outer layer, and so we just have to fill that back up with the tooth colored material, and you'll be just fine. Sometimes we just have to polish a little corner off. Now, if you chip it a little bit further, which obviously he did, you get into the dentin layer. Now, the dentin layer is yellow, and it's actually pretty sensitive, so it can kind of hurt sometimes. Lucky for him, if it is in the dentin layer and you don't see any red, then it's perfectly fine. All we have to do is rebuild it back up and make the tooth look brand new again. Now, if you do see red or see a little bit of blood, that means that you hit the pulp, and now there is a problem because outside bacteria has now been able to get into the nerve of your tooth and cause some problems. To fix this, unfortunately, he's gonna need a root canal and a crown to cover it all up. Fun fact, if he can find the chip where he chipped off his tooth, we can actually glue that little piece back on and it'll look like he never even chipped his tooth at all. But for real though, Peyton, maybe be a little bit nicer to your brother next time, okay?
Come with me to get permanent vampire fangs.
All right, let's see it.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Let's get to the part of getting the fangs on. I didn't know we were going to be doing a... Okay, now we're in the office.
Shout out to Vegas Smile Sweets.
Nice view, honestly. Got a little window there. Okay. Dang. Now bite down. Dang, those look good.
Who am I biting first?
Nice. And yes, this is actually real. Twilight was such a hit that everybody wanted the vampire fangs. In fact, so much now that I don't even touch people's canines at the end of treatment because they want them pointy. They love them a lot. And some people love them so much that they get their own composite veneer over the top of their teeth. Now what this is a tooth colored glue that they just bond over the top. And you can take it off later in life. It's not damaging your teeth in any way. And so I'm totally cool with this. Now you can't really do it on the lower because the way you bite, those vampire fangs would probably bite into the roof of your mouth. But you definitely can make it on the outer side of your canine. In fact, you probably have seen my past videos in the past where I've made different retainers, vampire fang retainers, where I can have the same effect without having to have anything permanent. Plus, I can take them out at any time. And if you wanted to even go crazier, you can go with the crazy vampire fang retainer and get really scary for Halloween this year.
Asia, how do you get your teeth so white? Please tell us. All you're gonna need is baking soda, purple food coloring. So you're just gonna put 3 drops. Scrub your teeth with it for like 2 minutes. Put the baking soda on your toothbrush with the purple dye. And go like this. I put too much baking soda. That was really nasty. But yeah, that's it.
She put what in her mouth? We've really come to the point now that we're just putting straight up purple food coloring on your teeth, huh? First off, I know food coloring is food safe, but is that good for you? I don't know, probably not. And 2, baking soda I really don't have too big of a deal with. It has a pretty low RDH or relative dentin abrasion, so it shouldn't harm your teeth too much, but I definitely wouldn't be doing it like 3 or 4 times a week. But the real thing I want to talk about is actually her teeth. In fact, she was like, oh, my teeth look so white and things like this, when actually they're not white because they're white. But Bentist, that makes 0 sense. If you really take a look at the picture at the very end when she's smiling her teeth, you notice something interesting about her teeth, that it's kind of like yellowy with little white splotches all over the tooth, and that is what we call fluorosis. This is what fluorosis of a tooth looks like. And so if you've ever seen somebody with the white splotchiness all over their teeth and it wasn't due to bad things like the braces squares or anything like that, it's because they had a lot of fluoride in their water growing up. The reason why you have fluoride in toothpaste is it takes your hydroxyapatite crystals that your teeth are made out of, and it takes something out and makes them into fluoroapatite, which is actually stronger than the regular tooth enamel. Now this does 2 things. 1, it makes your teeth superhumanly strong. Like you normally never get cavities if you have heavy fluorosis on your teeth. The other issue is it makes your teeth look a little funny because now you got little white splotches and stuff all over your teeth. And those little white splotches, when you dry them out or scrape on them and do things, they get whiter for a little bit and then they kind of go away. So more than likely this person didn't really whiten her teeth. Her teeth just look naturally white from the fluorosis scars all over her teeth. So is purple food coloring and baking soda gonna magically whiten your teeth? No. I still stand to the fact that carbon peroxide and hydrogen peroxide are the only 2 options you should be looking at to whiten your teeth. Other than that, it's all about abrading your enamel away, and we do not want that. Okay, what? My man, the inside of your mouth is not a Home Depot. You can't just go around spraying paint in your mouth. I guess he was a little brain dead from the paint fumes. Speaking of teeth whitening though, did you know that teeth whitening toothpaste are really kind of just scams? Because they come in only one or two different ways. One, which is the real big scam, is the super abrasive type charcoal whitening ones that just rip off your enamel. At first this is fine and dandy because it wears away your stains, but then over time it'll wear away your enamel, and then the inner dentin, which is yellow, will shine through, and then your teeth are going to start to be super sensitive and really yellow. And the other type are the ones with hydrogen peroxide and stuff, which actually does work, but it's just on your teeth for so little that it will take months and months and months and months of time for it to even lighten up a few shades. That's why if you're going to whiten your teeth, just go get the whitening strips from somewhere like 30 bucks. They work really well, just as good as any dental whitening does, and it'll be really nice and white, and you won't have brain damage. That's water floss for break.
El Pepe. El Pepe.
Good brushing technique.
El Pepe. El Pepe. El Pepe.
Let's see how these things turn out. Oh my god,
El
so
Pepe.
fast.
El Pepe.
You know he's just so psyched right now. It's time. Let's see how
El
they do.
Pepe. El Pepe.
He waited all that time to get his braces off, and little does he know he's gonna have to go right back into retainers. You know, the crazy part is you guys love your braces. In fact, some of you guys, when you start out, you hate them. You didn't want to get them on, but by the end of it, you're literally asking me like, hey, can you push this out a couple appointments? Because I really like my braces. So let me know down below, are you a braces person, or are you wanting to get them off ASAP? Me, myself, I'm pretty sure I cried when I got them on, and I cried when I got them off because I love them so much. Oh, the joy of pain in braces. Actually, there is no joy. The first 2 weeks are miserable. And I can tell by the comments that you guys agree. So I'll give you 3 tips to avoid braces pain that are gonna help you out tremendously. 1, this one should be obvious, but when you get your braces on for the first time, you're gonna be sore for the first 2 weeks. So take some Tylenol and take it regularly. Braces pain is not like a cut or hard pain. It's actually like a sore muscle pain. So that Tylenol will relieve a lot of that sore muscle pain. 2, the wires are activated by heat. And so if you get something cold in your mouth, you deactivate the wire. The teeth stop moving for about 20 to 30 minutes, giving you some pain relief. And 3, soft food. That soft food is going to cause less pressure on your teeth, making it hurt less. And something weirdly enough that fits both of those two is ice cream. It's soft and cold, so just tell your parents you want some ice cream. That means that pain is really only for the first week or two, and maybe a day or two after you get your braces tightened, so you should be good after that.
Never thought that I'd be alone. I didn't really be gone there.
No, seriously, you know her teeth are screaming right now. Oh my gosh, I can't even notice the pain would be so bad. But for real though, Bentist, what can she do to fix her teeth, or is she just done forever? Well, I was reading the comments, everyone was saying, oh, she damaged her enamel, it's so bad for you. And the fun fact is, actually, it doesn't damage your enamel at all. It's very sensitive, yes, but it does not damage your enamel. So all she needs to do is get some type of sensitive toothpaste like Sensodyne or something like that, and she can just smear it on her teeth like a big glob and just let it sit there for about 10 to 15 minutes. Another thing you can do is go to Amazon and get some remineralization gel. It's kind of a higher fluoride concentration that you put on there and let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes after you whiten, and that will also stop that sensitivity from happening. You see, the reason you have sensitivity is because your tooth is like a giant sponge with holes in it, and those holes all lead air and everything to your nerve, which is painful. And whitening breaks down the organic plugs in those holes, causing all those holes to be open to the air. So that air can just travel right down to your nerve and make it super, super sensitive. The sensitive toothpaste and things like that actually plug up those holes and make it to where a barrier forms, so where that doesn't happen anymore. So no, she did not hurt her enamel. 2, she's gonna be just fine, but if she wants to speed it up, just do those things and you'll be all right. But hey, let's be honest, they do look pretty good though.
Certain it's your love that holds me together. Lately you say you been killing the vibe. Gotta be sick of this guy. Pull up.
The amount of people in the comments that are so pressed about this is insane. You guys tag me saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's doing this. She's ruining her teeth. She's doing all these things. And that's just maybe not the case. You see, the bottle that she's drinking out of is hydrogen peroxide, the same exact thing that you get in whitening strips and things like that. Now, do I suggest you drinking it? No, because there's a lot of different concentrations and types of hydrogen peroxide. You can get stuff that's not food safe. You can get really high percentages. You can get medical grades type, all from the superstore, and it could be really bad for you. She, though, is using like a mild, food-safe 3% or so hydrogen peroxide. Swishing with this daily, actually, even though it would taste like wood, kind of, it actually does whiten your teeth because it's hydrogen peroxide. Okay, Bentist, then why shouldn't I do this instead of just use whitening strips? 1, because you could choose the wrong bottle and you could harm yourself badly. 2, it's a low percentage, so it's gonna take a long time to do something when you could just do a whitening strip and get it done even quicker. And 3, oral hairy tongue. Basically, you have this black hairy growth on your tongue. So unless you want that, then I probably would recommend just not doing this. Hope that helps. And you know what? It doesn't help. At all. Yeah, that's right. You can brush as much as you want, and your dentist will know if you brushed your teeth or not that whole entire time between cleaning. And that's because the way plaque works. You know, plaque is a lot like concrete. When it's soft and on your teeth for the first 24 to 48 hours, you could just wipe it off, and that's what you do. Every day you brush and try and get that wet concrete off. Now, if you leave it for 24 to 48 hours, it will harden into a layer we like to call calculus. And no, it's not the math class. Once it hardens into this calculus layer, there is no way that you can get it off with a toothbrush. You need something like a scaler, which is like a jackhammer to concrete, because that concrete is now hardened. Every 24 to 48 hours, another layer of that concrete will harden and harden and harden until you have a big, thick thing of calculus that looks like this. Gross, I know. If you leave that calculus on there, you will get a ton of inflammation, your bone levels will drop, your gum levels will drop, and your teeth will start to get loose and eventually fall out. So just brush your teeth, okay? There is always one that likes to watch the world burn. But for real though, why is it always 9 out of 10? Who is this dentist that just hates the world? Probably the one that flossed me so hard I bled last time. But anyways, I don't even care about that. It was just the gagging that reminded me of a story of probably one of the worst experiences in my dental career. You see, when you're in dental school, you're trained on a lot of different things. Regular, pediatric dentistry, oral surgery, all the stuff. And we had a kids clinic where I had to actually end up taking an impression of this kid to make a retainer for him. And if you're old enough, you're probably gonna remember taking these goopy impressions. Nowadays, you guys have these fancy, scancy scanners that don't do anything crazy. But back in the day, we had to use these goopy impression material in our mouth that were terrible. And if you don't know, you have to mix this stuff up. You have to put it in there, and it has about a minute working time. You put it in, you gotta wrap these lips all around, move it all moldable, to let it sit for about 30 seconds until it completely hardens, and then you're good to go. Now, the problem is people have, gag reflexes. And kids, they don't have very good control of their gag reflexes. And so I go in there and I put this thing in there, and all of a sudden the kid just goes, and at that point, you know that something bad is about to happen. In fact, I know there's tons of different dental assistants and dentists out there that have experienced the same thing, so comment down below if you remember. But anyways, this kid proceeds to just start vomiting up everywhere, all over himself and the chair and me and everything else. Now you would say, Bentist, that's so gross. You probably just ripped that impression out of there and cleaned everything up, didn't you? No. You gots to see it through, my boy. And the reason why you gots to see it through is because if you take it out, you will ruin the impression. And guess what? You still have to get the impression. So you're gonna have to do it again and cause the pain twice. So yeah, literally what they teach you and what we have to do is basically hold it in no matter what. And even if they're throwing up and everything, you just have to hold it and be like, ah! And you basically just have to fight through it until it's over. Luckily we have buckets and stuff, so if we know they're a gagger, we'll put it underneath them and let them kind of throw up into it. But that time I did not have one. But let's just say that I use digital scanning now for a reason.
I wanna go home. I wanna go.
That's a baby with teeth. Well, almost teeth. In fact, those two little lumps that you see on both sides is actually the central incisors, which actually come in really quickly in a baby. And the reason why that baby is probably moody is because they're going through a thing called teething, where all this eruption is taking place and pushing through the gum tissue, causing a lot of sensitivity. Now, a lot of times you can give a baby little cold binkies and things like that to kind of work on that type of stuff, and that'll kind of help until those teeth come through. Now, another thing that's really interesting about this that a lot of people are talking about is actually what they call a lip tie. In fact, a lot of people in the comments are talking about, they're saying, definitely get that lip tie checked out ASAP. My daughter had a stage 2 lip tie and they never mentioned it. It caused a lot of problems when she was older. And another one said, my daughter had a lip tie as well. It was corrected at 5 years for speech issues. Now what they're talking about is the upper frenulum, which is this little kind of dangly thing that hangs down here, and it connects from your lip to your upper jaw. Now some people's connect down further and further and further, and the farther they go, they can actually get in the way of the two teeth, creating a gap in the middle of your two front teeth. Now, not only this, but it can cause speech issues. It can obviously cause that gap that we talked about, and it can just be painful. Now, I definitely would talk to your dentist about this, because if you cut it too early, what that causes is that to form a fibrous scar there, and in the future, if you ever have a gap, we can't close it because of that giant scar there. What we actually tell people to do is actually leave it completely alone unless there is pain or speech issues. The reason for this is actually because if it creates a gap between their teeth, we need to orthodontically close that gap with braces. Once that gap is fully closed, then we can cut the frenulum and that scar tissue can form. Hope that helps. There is always one that likes to watch the world burn. But for real though, why is it always 9 out of 10? Who is this dentist that just hates the world? Probably the one that flossed me so hard I bled last time. But anyways, I don't even care about that. It was just the gagging that reminded me of a story of probably one of the worst experiences in my dental career. You see, when you're in dental school, you're trained on a lot of different things. Regular, pediatric dentistry, oral surgery, all the stuff. And we had a kids clinic where I had to actually end up taking an impression of this kid to make a retainer for him. And if you're old enough, you're probably gonna remember taking these goopy impressions. Nowadays, you guys have these fancy, scancy scanners that don't do anything crazy. But back in the day, we had to use these goopy impression material in our mouth that were terrible. And if you don't know, you have to mix this stuff up. You have to put it in there, and it has about a minute working time. You put it in, you gotta wrap these lips all around, move it all moldable, to let it sit for about 30 seconds until it completely hardens, and then you're good to go. Now, the problem is people have, gag reflexes. And kids, they don't have very good control of their gag reflexes. And so I go in there and I put this thing in there, and all of a sudden the kid just goes, and at that point, you know that something bad is about to happen. In fact, I know there's tons of different dental assistants and dentists out there that have experienced the same thing, so comment down below if you remember. But anyways, this kid proceeds to just start vomiting up everywhere, all over himself and the chair and me and everything else. Now you would say, Bentist, that's so gross. You probably just ripped that impression out of there and cleaned everything up, didn't you? No. You gots to see it through, my boy. And the reason why you gots to see it through is because if you take it out, you will ruin the impression. And guess what? You still have to get the impression. So you're gonna have to do it again and cause the pain twice. So yeah, literally what they teach you and what we have to do is basically hold it in no matter what. And even if they're throwing up and everything, you just have to hold it and be like, ah! And you basically just have to fight through it until it's over. Luckily we have buckets and stuff, so if we know they're a gagger, we'll put it underneath them and let them kind of throw up into it. But that time I did not have one. But let's just say that I use digital scanning now for a reason.